Okay. Hi, Diane here, and thank you for being patient with me as you've been waiting for me to get to a point where I can talk and do this video and not start coughing at you. Allergies have really been getting to me a lot, so I know I am late with my April recap, but here we are. It's Friday, so technically I'm not completely late because I normally post on Saturday, so you will get a new video tomorrow, I believe. I'm feeling very confident, so I'm going to say yes, you're getting a new video tomorrow also. But today I want to recap the weekly DiVa Performance review for April. So April was a very good month. I really feel like a lot of the stuff that I set into place earlier in the year when I started doing this, it's starting to pay off. So I encourage you ladies, if you have not started this experiment, join me in doing so. I'll put a link below to the performance review. The whole idea here is to view life like is something that we review. Just like a job where you get an annual performance review, this is a performance review for life, and it gives you categories to kind of score yourself and set goals and then revisit every month and see how you're doing, see where you maybe failed. I've always had some fails. So not really going to talk about fails this time though. So that's another woo. Okay. But before we get into the performance review, let's just talk about this fabric for a second, because this is another one of my purchases from Fabric Mart that I've now started to use as backdrops in the video. And it's a little wacky. I understand that. I personally think it would make a fabulous pair of pants. It's probably going to make a top, but I bought enough of it that it could be both. So I could be head to toe in this fabric. My mom's not so thrilled about that, but you know, I am my own person. Okay, so let's talk about April. Let's talk about, I have 4 categories I want to talk about, so this doesn't become 5 categories, I guess, so this doesn't go too long. First thing I want to talk about is finances and budget. And I will say that 4 months now for the year, I am still on budget, so that's very good. If you've been watching this series all along, you know that I set a budget this year, expenses. It's lower than what I spent last year, but last year I just sort of spent as things came up. So I thought maybe it's a good idea to have some parameters, which I did. I'm staying under budget, like kind of right there at my budget, but I'm getting better results on less. So again, just having that structure has been very good. That's all I'm going to say about money, because I want to really get into, hold on, the people skills part, because I have 3 things on this part that I want to talk about. So the first one is under personal indulgences. And the point is, defines personal indulgence by joy, happiness, and satisfaction, not by price or by what others have. So of course, if you've been following this all along, you know I kind of have a problem with FOMO. I have a problem with seeing what other people have, seeing what other people are doing, and instantly thinking, I need to do that. I need to try to get what they have. I need their results. That's been my big challenge so far. So I really kind of shut off. I detached from a lot of groups that I was in. I turned off a lot of voices of other people who were kind of getting to me, just so I could really force that eyes on your own paper approach. But I think the hand in hand with that is that defining personal indulgences by happiness and joy, not necessarily by what things cost or material items. And I think I'm doing pretty well here. I think this is something we can all really focus on, because it becomes very easy to think that things are going to make us happy. I mean, look, I'm materialistic. I worked in retail forever. I get it. My success was pretty much based on helping other people find things to buy. So I understand that mentality, but I think it's really important that we find the things that make us happy, and we just really focus on them, and we really nurture those things and those joys and continue to find ways to keep them in our lives, because that's what's going to have us wake up with a smile on our face, and that's what's going to help us remember why we're doing the hard work that we're doing, because anybody who's trying to accomplish anything is working really hard. That's the one thing we all know. So that, I think, is something to really tune into. The second thing, which is a different category on that same page under accountability, is understanding the importance of removing limiting beliefs. So, okay, I'm going to talk about this one for a second too. This kind of goes hand in hand with these stories we tell ourselves. And I've been thinking a lot about this lately, that we get into habits, we start to believe things about ourselves as fact, and we just start to repeat them, and we perpetuate these myths. And I'm going to give you an example from my life. I was recently talking to someone and I mentioned that I was a klutz. And I said, I haven't done anything klutzy around you, but I might. So just don't be surprised because I'm a klutz. And the thing was, I started thinking about that and I thought, well, I have certainly been known to do klutzy things in the past. And if you read my books, you know that Polyester Monroe is a klutz, and that's largely because I know what that feels like. But since I haven't done anything like that in a long time, I haven't just randomly fallen down and tripped over my own feet or anything like that. I started thinking, why am I telling myself that I'm a klutz? Why is this like a thing? When did this become part of who I am, that I just accept it and I don't just determine that that's not true? So I just made a conscious decision and I said, I'm no longer a klutz. So it's done. I'm going to rewire my brain. And I think the thing there is we all have those things. We all have little things about us that we have just accepted are no good. I'm bad with directions. I can't cook. I'm a slob. I'm not very bright. Those things, it's like we learned them somewhere along the way. Somebody told us, somebody made us feel that, and we bought into that, and we just accepted it as a reality. And I don't think we need to. I think we really should try to tune into those things and identify when we're telling ourselves those stories. And then once we identify them, work on rewiring a little bit and say, well, why did I allow that to be okay to think that? You know, that's my big goal for us to work on, is to find ways to not buy into those stories that we've been telling ourselves, because we're better than that. Okay. That's that one. The last one on this page is, if you're wondering about the glasses, it's because of the reflection off the lenses. I watch these playbacks and I know it's distracting. So I'm really haven't worked out the whole thing yet, but I'm trying really hard to, not get that right there. I'm trying to avoid that for you. Okay. Motivator. No, not motivator. I don't want to talk about motivating. Risk taking. Okay. Now I actually scored myself pretty high on risk taking. When I did this originally, I gave myself an exceeds expectations. And that was because I moved from California to Pennsylvania. I packed all my belongings up. I decided to change up my life. I decided things were not the way they needed to be, and I wanted them to be better. It wasn't just, it was actually a conscious decision that I thought there's a better future out there for me than the one I'm headed toward. And I need to change, and I'm going to try something different, and I'm going to be uncomfortable. And that was what it was all about. And so because of that, I gave myself an exceeds expectations, because I thought, okay, of all the things I do want to work on, I don't think risk taking is my biggest problem. But one of the thing here is occasionally does things that are outside of comfort zone. That's the key I want to talk about here, because even though I did the whole move, even though I came here, even though I gave myself a big pat on the back for doing all that, I spent a couple of months not getting out of the house. I gave myself a goal of getting out of the house 2 times a month for social events that were not with my parents, because we tend to do things together. I did not hit that goal for 3 months in a row, 4 months in a row, because it actually started last year. If you think about it, that's kind of bad. I mean, 3 times in 1 month, I couldn't make a phone call to somebody in the town where I grew up, where I know there's other people here who I still know. And I know it was partially because I was hibernating. I know it was partially because there was this big change and I was still adjusting, but I needed that time. But I started getting out of the house in April. I started allowing myself that chance to not hide anymore. And it's been really fantastic. And I think that is really the payoff. That is the key. That is the whole, we have to be uncomfortable every once in a while, because if we're comfortable all the time, we are not taking risks. And risks are what lead to unexpected things. And unexpected things are what make us feel alive. So that's kind of the chain there. And I am just encouraging you to do this, because I have done it and it's worked out really well for me. So I'm encouraging you to find the things that maybe you don't want to do because they're a little bit uncomfortable. Do them anyway, because you might be really, really surprised at what comes out of that. Okay? So that is that one. All right, moving on to the next category. The next category was under the management skills page, and I'm going to revisit the love category because I talked about this in last month's video. Now, you may remember if you watched that one, and I'll try to put a link up there to that one, you may remember that I was talking about the fact that I basically said, I'm not even going to worry about that category. And in that video, I had this realization that I was not viewing it correctly because there was a lot of love in my life that I just was ignoring. I mean, my parents, my friends, you, all around me. And I was aware of it, and I was still basically saying that doesn't count. So I made a conscious effort in my end of March recap. I made a conscious effort that I said, I am going to start realizing that this is something that is part of life. This is not equal to romance. This is just, we have a capacity for love. We need to give it. We need to get it. We all need to share in it. So if you noticed, I started signing my newsletter with love, Diane, because it's true. I love you. I love that you give me love back. I love that you read my books. I love that you allow me to do what I do. And, and all of that. So I made a conscious effort to start putting that out there. And I think that is kind of a key thing that we all can give each other. It's a limitless commodity, and it's not always easy because it does make us vulnerable. But I want you to know that I did let go a little bit on that one, and it's been very freeing, and you were a part of that. So I thank you for being there. I thank you for watching my videos. I thank you for being part of my community, because that is really where that all comes from, where all of this comes from. It means so much to me that you are here for this journey that I'm on, and that we are kind of doing this together. Okay, so that is my April recap. Good month. Really looking forward to continuing everything that's going on here. And I hope if you are doing this journey too, you shoot me an email and let me know how it's going for you. If you haven't started yet, again, look below for the link to the weekly DiVa Performance review and get started. And then we can all kind of like chat and celebrate as time goes by. Okay, so that is it for this week. I thank you for watching.